the impact of conversion rate, it's massive in your business. The reality is, in most of your stores, we're probably trending at about 10%. So think about this. At 10%, you close one customer out of every 10 that walk into your store, or 10 out of every 100. Now that means out of every 100 customers that walk into your store, 90 walk out without making a buying decision for whatever reason today. So with that, if I was to convert one more customer out of every 10, all right, and I'm now converting 20, they're both spending $100. Before I did $1,000 worth of sales, now I'm doing $2,000 worth of sales, and it is a 100% increase in sales across the board. Now, think about your store. From last year to this year, what sort of percentage increase were you after? All right, see, most of you would be 5, 6%, you know, maybe a couple are erring on 10%, but it wouldn't be much more than that, correct? All right, see, if you want 5, 10%, the fastest way you can get it is by closing one more customer, keeping your average value where it is at the moment. Now, you go from closing 2 customers out of every 10 to closing 3 customers out of every 10, and now you are looking at a 50% increase in sales. All right, 3 to 4, it's a 33% increase in sales as long as the average value stays the same. 4 to 5 is a 25% increase in sales. The fastest way for you to actually hit the number is to close more of what you've got. Now, that means isolate, discuss every lost sale in your business. All right, it's not about the customer. It's often what we do that cause the customer to act or react in the way that they did today. So focus on what we can constantly do better with what we've actually got. Now, thinking about that, in the front of your team diary and thinking about customers, and this is on the very front page, you will notice that we have given you an always, and in the past we've talked about having what we call non-negotiable sales and service standards. There are several key things that we would highly recommend that your team members focus on doing every single time with every single customer. The first one is this: greet, then engage with conversation, and then transition. Now, when I say greet, then engage with conversation, that conversation could be a direct offer, it could be non-business, or it could be a quick tour. It's not saying you've got to actually greet them or engage them in this manner. It's saying that there are different ways that we can engage customers. What I want you to do is at some point say hello, right? And some point either quickly, or depending on how large your store is and how far into the store your customer is, right, at some point physically engage them in conversation, and then transition. When we talk about transitioning, that's when you're actually offering service of any kind. Right. Second thing we want you to do is ask what we call kickstart questions. Third thing we want you to do is engage your customer senses and validate your selection with what we call a slow reveal. Right, linking statements, descriptive words, glove strays, and salvets. And part of that, and that's really the presentation process, is make sure that you offer the complete solution every single time with every single customer, and that you ask for a sale with a price up close. I'm going to touch base on that in just a moment. And the last most important thing is that you actually register every lost sale that you have, that you actually offer to put it in either a trade book, a client book. If you haven't got client books that are consistent for all your team members, I highly recommend it. Here's why. When it comes to promotion time, when it comes to the fact that you've now dropped a price on a certain item, you can actually make contact with those clients. You can't do it if you don't have their details. Right, so we would recommend most times with most customers that you offer to pop their details down so that you price watch, and that you're able to give them a call should the price change, should something different come in. Sam, you can ask a question.
Do you actually sell the client books?
No, but I can send you a format for it, so you can just print it off. All right, so now a client book, there's a couple of details I will always have a client book. One is the date, because I want to see how many opportunities we're having, and I want to make sure that my team members are logging as many of those as they can. Now that means you've got to offer at the end of the presentation every single time. It also means, and please never do this, do not hand out business cards with your product and your price on it, because they are shopping you out every single time. You will very rarely see that customer again. Write the number of your client book. So write down the page number. And I always let them know the details are on this page, so even if they come back and I'm not here, and any team member can look up exactly what we discussed today. Now here's a couple of things I do. date, mobile number, name, product. Sometimes if it's an item that we've got to throw, I'll print a picture of the Showcase website and I'll stick it in there so that we know that we're talking about. And more importantly, if there's an occasion, an impending occasion like a birthday, then it's something that I will utilise every single year to make contact with the customer, reminding them of that. But also, the moment they are out of the store, I write down anything and everything I uncovered about them. So as I asked, clarified, asked questions earlier, probed, have some dialogue before I actually physically showed something, I will absolutely write as much of that down as I can. Now, double-edged sword. First of all, in 3 weeks' time, I'm sometimes a little bit like a goldfish. And like you can tell me one thing and it goes in one ear and out the other, and 3 weeks later, someone's going to have to remind me about it, all right? So again, when you think about the number of customers that you have, you look at your client book, very rarely are you going to remember a name and a number and a product. What you're more likely to remember is what you uncovered about that particular person. So I use that as a way of following up, but I also use it to help upskill my team members, meaning if I'm not there and the customer comes in, they can actually go to the client book and they go, well, you were talking to Cass the other day and you were telling her about and you mentioned, and you already have some personal interaction with the customer before you actually go to the product again. So highly, highly recommend. Plus, promotion time, end of the month, coming to the end of your budgetary month, you can actually go back through and start following up on all those potential lost leads. You'll be surprised how many sales come out of those at the end of the month also. Now, it's something you need to keep on the go because you will find at certain times of the year you're going to smash that client book and you constantly need fresh leads in there.